Everybody, welcome back. It's Business, and I'm in the Tier 9 Alsace. I know it's the Alsace. Don't care. It's the Alsace to me. That's what I'm saying. And this is pretty much the only time you're going to see this. Ever. So, I really like this ship. Still finicky because the 15-inch guns, of course, and it's kind of a tough caliber to have at this tier. I mean, let's be honest, 15-inch guns have a lot of drawbacks, and the benefit, though, is being able to dump 8 shells out of the front. You know, so if you have to bow tank, you can at least have a pretty good amount of shell volume. But again, you are limited by the fact that, and I'm not actually trying to shoot the Eddie over here. I am aiming at the Montana, but the replays are weird, and you can almost never manually select things. It's just stupid, but whatever. There we go. So, pretty interesting salvo. These shells tend to do pretty well, either at either close range or long range, and I have a predilection, of course, for the close range engagements, and we're gonna see some pretty interesting moves here with this episode of Ships and Giggles. So I do have an Iowa that's a little bit behind me, and I'm trying to figure out a way for us to get back into this, and I'm trying to see if I can get support from these guys here to see if they can push up with me. So I'm gonna purposely beach myself here because those were only 2 of the turrets from the Montana, and the faster thing to do in order to get yourself backing up and out of a position is to just beach, because it drops you right down to 0. So get going again, take it from there. And the big thing that the French battleships that actually get the speed boost benefit from is how quickly they get up from 0 to 10 knots, and you'll see that a little bit here. So if you take a look in the bottom left, it jumps. It's basically skyrockets to 10 knots, slows down a little bit, then you get above about 17 knots, and it really starts ramping up again. What this does, it is in the close quarters engagement, provides you with an opportunity to basically grab the bull by the horns, I guess, is a way to put it, where you're not going to be able to get into a situation like this can in any other battleship outside of the French line, because they don't have the speed boost. So, I mean, we basically rocketed right out from behind that island, and now we're in a position here with the Iowa in tandem to make a fucker sandwich out of this poor Alsace here. So it's very much a fantastic ship for the drive-by. The Richelieu is really good for it too, but I prefer the Alsace because more guns, and I really don't like having to rely on just front turrets. I think that's terrible. Yeah, it doesn't work for me. So also, I really don't understand why that ship has 26 kilometer range, but that's way, way, way too much for a tier 8 ship. But I've always been actually pretty happy with the performance of these shells against the German ships, and I think that that's at any given range, the French battleships compare favorably to the German ships. But anyways, as far as the current situation is concerned, the Montana has he's going to be in the same situation here as the enemy Alsace was here a second ago, and we're trying to get along the sides, and this is the beauty of a pair of battleships working together. And granted, it's the case when anybody's working together, but especially battleships against other battleships, you can force people into some awful positions that really sacrifice their sides. And the sound's going to go nuts here, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop talking for a moment and let you enjoy the sounds, because it gets pretty intense. That's my type of stuff right there. So secondaries going off all over the place. You're pushing targets and trying to make stuff happen, as we are not in control of this game at all, and it's the enemy team's match to lose. So we only fire what's necessary against the Eddy. Manage to luck out with that, get the Citadel and kill him, and dump a salvo what remains against the Iowa. So knowing what happens here ahead of time, there's no other way I could have played this at this point. The Iowa, or I'm sorry, the Missouri, whatever it is, he has shots on me, and I don't have a choice but to either die to him or die to the Khabarovsk. So it's one or the other, and we're gonna take a look over here. We got the shells coming in and the torps. One way or another, I'm dead. So it didn't really matter. But our team really made some crazy shit happen there at the end. We actually ended up with a victory, and making that push happen thanks to the Iowa, it kind of facilitated all that towards the end. And I don't like being stuck on the edge of the map like that, but you know, if you can get back into it and you can make a push happen and you can force the enemy team to play on your terms, then yeah, that could be awesome. Ah, the Thunderdome. Sleeping Giant. So this match is going to look a little different just because it's from a couple months ago. The cap arrangement is not what it is currently, since they changed that around a little bit and basically have the entire middle section is empty, and you have the cap to the north and the south in the middle. So I think the match, almost every match, focuses entirely too much on the 7 and 8 line over there. You know, it's just the horn. Praise the horn, everybody. After we take out this Lo Yang here, we'll be pushing into A and capping that. So, nice job. Good job, Baltimore. And basically, I think this map really promotes a lot of laziness, because people sit north and south of the, well, what is it now, D? I think it is. Yeah, I think it's D. And I really don't like how this map plays if you're not going over towards A. So it can be really frustrating when you're trying to make a move here, you're being mobile, you engage a few ships and you take them out and you take control of A, and then you look over on the other side of the map and nobody's moved for 5 minutes on there, and they're just, it's really boring. It's a tennis match of who's doing HE damage to somebody else, and I'm not a big fan of that. So I'd rather end up over here and try to make something happen. And at the very least, I know a lot of people have compared this area to the middle of Two Brothers. I thoroughly disagree, because one, this is a cap, and then two, there's a hell of a lot more room to maneuver. There's room to be shot in, like there's room to shoot into here, and there's room to shoot out. So battleships can come in here, cruisers, some of them, can do really well in here, and destroyers, it gets batshit crazy when you're in a situation where you're fighting, you know, 1 or 2 enemy ships inside this cap as a destroyer. But anyways, so Rock and Rolla and I, just trying to clear out these DDs, and there we go. So the enemy team is down to 1 DD. It's a Pan-Asian now. So we've cleared out some pretty important ships, and we're saying screw it. We've got all of these enemy ships up here, and we want to push. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen coordinated or semi-coordinated battleship pushes very often, but I can tell you it's one of the best things in this game. So he's got his secondaries going batshit crazy, and I'm thinking that he's actually running manual. I'd be surprised if he wasn't, but I'm not really sure. I'll have to ask him next time I see him. And again, I'm not running it, but I would like to eventually try that. But this isn't about the secondaries, it's about just basically making enemy teams panic with a push, because a lot of times they don't know what to do. So anyways, just taking shots wherever we can. And part of my mentality when I'm in this situation where I'm expecting to die, it just comes with a push, you know, is to try to maximize the damage as much as possible. What you tend to see is when battleships are pushing like this, and really anybody's pushing, it'll draw out other people. that wouldn't otherwise expose themselves, because either A, they're damage whores and they need the damage validation and all that stuff. As we take out battleship right there, and I get my guns on the Leone here and take him out. So yeah, all right, 2 battleships down. That's a huge boost for the team as far as the points, and we have all 3 caps pretty damn well secured, so this is good. But you'll see people kind of play a little bit more reckless, and I don't get me wrong, I like it because it creates all sorts of crazy shit happening, and yeah, that's my type of engagement, you know. But got an enemy Fiji coming around here. He doesn't want to go ahead and use his smoke, so he damn near gets one shot, and I bring my rear turret around, fire, but secondaries get him, so nice job there. So yeah, Rock and Rolla unfortunately just went down. Not entirely sure if he got hit by torps or something, but and the speed boost is the only thing saving my ass here from taking a few torps. Otherwise, I absolutely would have. Yeah, that would have sucked. We got a rune at our 12 o'clock, and I'm focusing on these guys because it looks like we can get him taken now, and we throw the salvo there. We've got deep water torps coming, so we know the enemy Pan-Asia DD is just sitting there in the smoke, and we can see some of his shots coming in there. So my idea here is keep the secondaries shooting at the rune while I try to push in and engage, see if we can spot the enemy DD, because it looks like he's going to continue firing and ignore his spotting range from smoke or firing. So looks like that's it right there, and here we go. Get our shots ready. Fire the A and C turret, we get 7 overpens, and then the B turret gets ready, secondary is firing away at him, and we have a sliver of health and come out with a win. Only 100,000 damage, but it's not about damage. So hell of a push, much appreciated from the Baltimore going to A, and obviously Rock and Rolla as well. The team overall did a hell of a job that match, and helped facilitate the push as a whole, so that was pretty fun. Now let's switch gears to the Tier 7 Leone, which is one of the most ridiculous ships in the game. Now it has 343mm shells, and tends to get some pretty good results with those salvos. In this instance, however, as you can see on the minimap, I'm kind of in a bad spot. So there's a Gneisenau pushing Bismarck just to the north of me that looks like he wants to come into the fray, and in the gap there between the islands there's New Mexico. Now I'm not entirely sure what the hell happened with that salvo, where the shell ended up citadeling him, but that's not... Okay, basically the Leone has a tendency to get some weird citadels, and I think part of that is simply because the shell saturation, just being able to shower a target with as many shells as it can. At range, I've citadeled in North Carolina that was turned away from me. I think it was like 15-16 kilometers away, and managed to do like about 20,000 to him, totally unexpectedly, of course. But one of my favorite things to do, and again this goes back to well, I guess in this case against the Bismarck, if you can broadside it with any battleship, you're going to do some serious damage. But especially if it's something that has 10, 12, or in this case 16 shells, and we're just waiting for the Bismarck to come around. We're keeping our secondaries going there against the Gneisenau, and we get not quite what I was hoping for, but a good solid 27,000 damage salvo there. And luckily those torps, the one further off to the port side there, that was the one that was going to hit. Luckily it ran out, so the Gneisenau gets taken out. New Mexico is chasing us, and we're still trying to get these guns down on the Bismarck, and obviously gonna secure that. So I love the soft side of the Bismarck, especially when using this ship. And amazingly, we get down to, again, a sliver of health, and we're still alive. But there's more torps coming from the now dead Gneisenau, and wouldn't you know it, we were going to dodge it anyways. I really want to get back to playing that ship a bit more frequently. To me, it's just a hell of a lot of fun. So back to Sleeping Giant though for our last clip here. Enemy Khabarovsk. He looks like he's gonna beach, and that sucks for him because I actually finally rolled good dispersion on the Alabama, which pretty much never happens. I've had a lot of back and forth with the ship, and there are a few interesting ships over here, Yamato being the close one. So I was initially gonna go into B, or I'm sorry, A, and kind of waited out, see what happened, but I decided to stalk this guy a little bit and see if we could catch him off guard. I was hoping that he would push forward a bit more so I could come around and have a better angle at his side, but he's staying where he is. But I've had 40 hits with this ship and 30,000 damage, and that was my match. And like it really sucks to play this ship sometimes, but if you can get up close, I feel like a lot of the issues with the ship are nullified or at least reduced. But looks like he's backing up at full speed, and I think he kind of angled just enough there, but I could probably call that a 50-50 on dispersion, and also the the fact that he was moving backwards at full speed. So he kind of nails the shit out of me there through the front, and whatever, it is what it is. I'm expecting to take damage here, and that's kind of the thing. I am perfectly fine with giving up some of my health if that means that I'm going to get myself in a position to take another ship out, and that's what I'm obviously trying to do here. I was debating shooting at that Iowa, but I was worried that the Yamato would start pushing forward, and luckily we don't take that much damage there. That was pretty much his last chance to get anything done, as we're pulling up along his side to see if we can seal the deal here. And I'm taking my sweet ass time. He's pre-leading, so he will kill me with his next salvo, but I get him first. So that'll be it for us today. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I look forward to your comments below. Got a lot more coming up, and I will see you back here next time. Take care.